I'm Sue Baker. I'm the owner of Greenwood's, which is Dewsbury's oldest shop. It was set up in 1860 by John Greenwood, who was a publican from Pudsey. From the very earliest days, John Greenwood has always had three sides to it. It's had the clothier side of things, so sell industrial clothing, workwear and boots, caps and things. It had a pawnbroking element to it, because that's what people needed in those days. And it also sold jewellery.
We were lying in bed one morning and Michael said, "There's a very nice ring in Greenwood's window, would you like to have a look at it?" And I shot out of that bed. I had my makeup on in 5 minutes and we were down here.
Okay.
And that's 27 years ago yesterday.
Right. So the shop obviously got fond memories.
Absolutely. I think every single important gift that we've had in the family has come from here. I like the originality of everything. You know, I believe change is constant, but it's quite nice to have one or two things that don't change.
Well, these are the later stairs, the earliest stairs of that step ladder.
Okay.
So when the building was built in 1830, it didn't have any stairs.
Has most of this stuff then come from the shop, or have you brought things in?
There's a mixture of things. So some things are from the shop, some things collected. That's Millennium Bill.
Millennium Bill.
It's the last surviving one with his hammer and original hammer and moustache.
Yeah.
And he was supplied to people who sold
Millennium overalls. So this one, what do you think this is?
Oh,
Gosh,
not
that
sure about
tiny
Is it some
marker.
sort of lathe?
No,
Is it for cutting a ring or is it for cutting something?
it's a map wheel to measure how far you go on a map.
I'm with you,
And to
yeah.
claim your expenses back.
How do you know?
You start it like that
Yeah.
on one end.
Oh, and
Alright.
it travels.
You run it down there and it travels along on there as you go along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you run it back down your ruler and it measures inches.
right. Got
So
you.
it's like 4 miles to the inch.
Oh,
All of these items date up to just before the digital revolution. So things like the map wheel, the barometer, the Morse code tapper, the phones, all of the record and musical stuff, all the photography things, they're all completely superseded now by mobile phone. And so probably in another 50 years' time, all of your museums will just have a few mobile phones in, because that's what it covers.
yeah.
So all of the things that you see here, which people used, which were mechanical, have now been superseded. Are you Simon?
I am Simon.
I'm Sue.
do you
Nice
do?
to meet you.
I made it.
You found us?
I found you with some directions, yes.
Right. And welcome to Dewsbury.
It's a fantastic little old shop.
These are the original 1860s counters. So this is where your great-great-great-grandfather, great-grandfather and grandfather would have worked.
Yep.
So they'd have been busy polishing these as well. And actually quite a lot of the things in the shop date back from the Chadwick's times.
This is going to be an interesting day. About 3 or 4 years ago I started looking into the family history. By chance I found a link from the Dewsbury Reporter to Greenwood's, the oldest shop in Dewsbury. And it linked into John Greenwood. By this stage I knew that he was a great-great-great-grandfather. And then last year another story came up about how Sue Baker had bought the shop. So I knew that the museum was being built. And this is my first visit to the shop and it's quite exciting.
These are all Chadwicks on the top line. These are all your relatives.
Yes, I recognise those from the photograph.
Grandfather?
Yep, Ronald.
Great-grandfather
John Edward,
and great-great-grandfather.
Henry,
And of course his...
great-great-grandmother Ellen.
So Ellen was a Greenwood. She had this shop and the shop at Robinson Street, which her dad, and we don't have a photo of her dad unfortunately, which her dad bought for her.
And she married Henry, of course.
She married Henry.
Because my father died quite early, that was at a stage of life when I wasn't particularly interested in looking at family history, but talking to my uncle, he knew very little about this shop. He knew his great-grandfather had been an outfitter and the pawnbroking side.
The wives had pawned the suit on the Monday, back on the Friday for the chap to go to church, and on the Sunday, hoping he wouldn't notice, then pawn it again on the Monday. What surprises me about this is the value that people had on things. It's completely different now. So things like 18 carat rings had the same value as some shoes or something, a set of spoons. Most unusual thing pawned. Any guesses?
I haven't got a clue. You're obviously going to tell me something.
A pig. Somebody
Right.
pawned a pig.
A live pig.
A live pig. And one of Colin's jobs was to go up and feed it, and it was just up there at the street.
How long did they have it in for?
I think just the week.
Brilliant.
You have to be careful because there's a few bits missing now. There's a lean on that where the middle of the building here has dropped by about this much.
Yes, I can feel it as I stand on this step. So this is obviously quite an old room. It must be interesting to think back, what would they have used all this room for, with the fireplace, the trapdoor fitting there?
Well, looking at the history, the Chadwicks lived here, so it was built as accommodation. It was a house up here. Sometime after that, when it was a pawnbroker's, I think the shelving was put in to store everything that was coming in as a pawnbroker. So many suits, clothes, shoes, all of those sort of things, you need quite a lot of room for. And then the stuff would have been taken up and down these trapdoors. And these trapdoors are in all of the rooms. The building's giving up its little secrets, bit at a time.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the story of how you came to acquire the shop?
Okay, so just literally across the road was the dental practice that I owned for 25 years. I used to come across from the practice to here, and it felt like just a step back in time. So the minute you sort of walked across the threshold into the shop, you've gone back 50 years. I thought it was worth preserving that for generations to come. The lady who was selling it, she was getting dementia.
Right.
So had to sell. It hadn't sold in the auction. I said, well, if it doesn't reach its retainer, let me know, not thinking twice about it. And she rang me up the next morning and said it hasn't reached its retainer. It's going to become flats. Do you want it? So we said yes. So that was it. It was a spur of the moment decision.
Brilliant. And I mean, the history behind it, and obviously the links into Dewsbury, are really quite interesting, because it's a niche on that era.
If this goes, it goes. You can't replicate it. You can't replicate it in a museum. All the things that you see here are in situ. They're actually, this is how they were built.
No, that's great. I think actually you'll be commended for that. And Dewsbury, I'll be thankful for it.
Okay, right, well, let's see if that's enough now. Thank you.
I think I really like the sewing machine. You can actually make stuff with it. So you made it and then it makes something.
Inside of a pocket watch. I found it interesting because this thing moves, but it's like got no batteries or anything.
It makes me feel as if I've stepped back into the past. In older day, I don't have computers or anything.
They're to measure, they're to weigh very small things.
It's nice to see to let us use all this stuff, because if you went in a normal museum, then you'd just be looking at it instead of actually doing the things.
Jewellery is the main part of the shop. That's what really keeps the shop going. If we were just selling clothing, I think we would have been out of business. But because it's specialist jewellery, and this is where you come and to have special items made, repaired, sold, things which have a meaning and a value to you. That's what has kept the shop going and will keep the shop going, because people do have the memories, they do remember the times when they bought something here, and it's special to them, a gift from somebody who they love. I've been in Dewsbury since the 1980s, and I've realised that the people here are amazing. Being part of Dewsbury Chamber of Trade and being involved in the history of the town. These are all things that help promote the town and make it a place where people want to come to, and that's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see a community back again, people who are proud of the town, as I'm proud of Dewsbury.
Little boy kneels at the foot of the bed, droops on the little hands, the little gold head. Whisper who dares, Christopher Robin